I never thought I'd be sitting here writing this kind of story, but here we are. My name's Jake, and I've been with Emily for nearly 3 years. We were supposed to get married last weekend. Everything seemed perfect at first. She was beautiful, smart, funny, the kind of girl you think you'd spend forever with. Or so I thought. From the start, there were little signs that something wasn't quite right. She'd get fidgety when I'd bring up the wedding plans, brush it off with some snarky comment about not being ready to settle down or wanting her freedom. I let it slide because I was head over heels, convinced that she was just nervous. Then I started noticing her phone lighting up at odd times, texts from unknown numbers, late-night messages she'd quickly hide whenever I entered a room. She'd get defensive, snapping at me about privacy, saying I was paranoid or just jealous. Yeah, I was jealous, but I figured it was normal to feel a bit insecure given all that was going on. But the real signs started piling up in the last couple of weeks. She was acting distant, more secretive, avoiding me sometimes even. Leaving her phone face down or with a password I didn't know. She'd disappear to the bathroom for ages, then come out looking flustered. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I couldn't shake this creeping feeling that something was off. Then came the night before the wedding. It was Saturday, and I decided to surprise her with a small gift, something sentimental I'd kept from our first date, just to make her smile. I knew it was risky, but I wanted to see her happy. I went into her purse to grab her keys, and that's when I saw it. Her phone was unlocked, sitting open on her messages. I hesitated, then looked, and what I saw made my stomach drop. There was a string of messages between her and my brother David. They weren't just friendly or flirty, they were explicit dirty, talking about how much they wanted each other, planning secret meetups. I saw stuff about sex, about how she can't wait to feel him again, and him telling her she's so hot when she's bad. It was like a punch to the gut. My own wife cheating on me with my brother right before our wedding. I stood there frozen, feeling like the world was crashing down around me. I didn't even think about what to do next. I just backed out of her purse slowly, my hands trembling. My mind spun with shock, anger, betrayal, all at once. How could she do this? How could she lie to my face for months? And my brother, how could he do this to me, to our family? The betrayal cut so deep I thought I'd never recover from it. I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew that nothing she'd say now would ever really make this okay. I just needed to figure out what I was going to do, how I was going to handle this mess. I waited until she came home that night, her usual smug attitude hiding whatever she was feeling. I was sitting on the couch, the phone still in my hand, cold sweat running down my forehead. When she walked in, she looked around, probably sensing that something was off. She tried to act normal, brushing past me like nothing had happened, but I wasn't buying it. I finally stopped her when she sat down beside me. "Emily," I said, my voice barely above a whisper, trembling with a mix of rage and heartbreak. "I saw your messages, the ones with David. The ones where you talk about sex, about cheating on me, about wanting to be with him. How long has this been going on?" She blinked, trying to pretend innocence, her eyes narrowing. "Jake, don't be ridiculous," she snapped, then added with a sneer, "You're just paranoid, you're overthinking things. I don't know what you saw, but that's not what it looks like." I shook my head, furious. "What it looks like? It looks like you've been lying to my face for months. You've been sneaking around, hiding your phone, lying about where you're going. And you think I'm paranoid? I've never felt so betrayed in my life. How could you do this to me, to us?" She laughed, that sharp, bitchy laugh that made my stomach turn. "Oh, grow up, Jake. It's not like I cheated on you with some random guy. It's David, my brother, family. You're making it into some big drama when it's just sex, just a thing we're both into. You're overreacting." That was when I lost it. I couldn't believe she was trying to spin this like it was some kinky game, like it was just a matter of her having fun. I felt sick, like I was going to be sick right there. She kept talking, throwing out excuses, how she was unhappy, how I was too controlling, how I wasn't enough for her. She said I didn't satisfy her, that she needed something more, something exciting. That's when I realized she'd been lying to me all along, that all those late nights, her secret phone, her evasiveness, I'd been blind. I thought I knew her, but she was just a bitch hiding her true self. The worst part was how she dismissed it all. She made it sound like it was no big deal, like I should just get over it. That's when I knew I couldn't trust her anymore. Not even a little. I told her to leave, that I needed space, that I'd think about everything. I couldn't believe I was standing here, after everything we'd been through, and she was justifying her betrayal like it was some kind of crazy joke. And her reaction, she threw a fit, yelled at me, called me jealous, insecure, and insisted I was overreacting. Said she loved me but needed her freedom and that I was just being paranoid. But I saw through her lies. I knew this was just the beginning of something much darker. I felt broken, angry, and utterly lost. How do you come back from something like this? How do you even look at her the same way again? That's what's killing me, the fact that I don't think I ever will. The next few days were a blur of confusion and anger. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her and David together, doing God knows what. I kept replaying that moment when I found the messages, trying to make sense of it all. Was it just sex? Was it something more? How long had this been going on? The betrayal cut so deep that I started questioning everything about us, about her. I tried talking to my friends, but most of them told me I should just confront her again, ask her for the truth, see if I could maybe salvage what was left. But honestly, I didn't want to hear more of her lies. When I looked at her, I saw the same cold, bitchy face that had been lying to me for months, pretending to love me, pretending everything was okay. The woman I thought I knew was just a mask she wore, and now it had shattered. One night, I decided I had to see her again. Not to talk, but just to observe. I texted her asking if she wanted to meet up and talk, but she played it cool, acting like everything was normal. When she arrived at my apartment, she was dressed provocatively, that smug look on her face again. I didn't say much at first. I just stared, watching her try to act innocent, trying to pretend she wasn't caught. Finally, I couldn't hold back. "Emily," I said, voice cold as ice, "I want to know straight up, are you still seeing him? Are you still lying to me, sneaking around behind my back?" She rolled her eyes and scoffed. "Oh, give me a break, Jake. You're acting like I'm some kind of slut." "Yeah, I saw David, but it's not like I'm sleeping with him every day. Sometimes it's just sex. It's nothing serious, just some fun. If you're so insecure, maybe you should look at yourself." That was when I realized her excuses were just that, excuses. She was trying to make me feel guilty, trying to spin it so I'd feel like I was being unreasonable. But I was. I knew the truth now. She'd been lying to me from the start, and she didn't care about how much she hurt me. All she wanted was her own selfish pleasure, no matter what it did to us. I told her to leave. I told her I needed time to think, that I couldn't be with someone who betrayed me like this. She tried to guilt-trip me, calling me jealous and controlling, but I didn't care. The trust was gone, completely wiped out. I felt a mix of rage, sadness, and pure disgust. I couldn't believe I had been so blind, so naive. How did I not see this coming? How did I let her get away with it for so long? That night I stayed up until dawn, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'd ever be able to forgive her. But deep down, I knew that trust, once broken this badly, isn't easily repaired. And I'd been hurt so badly that I didn't even know if I'd ever be able to look her in the eye again without feeling sick. The betrayal had changed everything. It wasn't just about her cheating. It was about the fact that I had been completely blindsided by the person I loved. After that night, I knew I had to make some decisions. The pain was too fresh, too raw to even think straight. I felt like I was walking around in a fog, every moment filled with this gnawing ache in my chest. I didn't want to stay, but I also didn't want to just run away, not yet. I decided I'd give myself some space, see if I could find a way to get through this without completely losing my mind. Over the next week, I kept to myself mostly. I didn't answer her calls or texts. She kept trying to reach me, acting all innocent, like she hadn't just thrown our entire future in the trash. I kept replaying everything, trying to find some tiny reason to hold on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, she'd change and admit to everything. But deep down, I knew better. I knew I was fooling myself. One afternoon, I decided to dig a little deeper. I wanted to see if she'd slip up, reveal more of her true nature. I started checking her social media, her messages, anything I could find. I found more evidence, screenshots of her sexting with David, pictures of them together at the cabin, All those little things you don't realize are clues until it's too late. Every new piece made my stomach turn. It was like she was trying to erase the guilt, pretending it didn't happen, but the truth was right there in front of me. I confronted her again in person one evening. She showed up unannounced, her makeup perfect, her attitude even more bitchy than before. She tried to act like everything was fine, like she'd done nothing wrong. I looked at her and just shook my head. "You lied to me," I said quietly, voice trembling. "You lied about everything, about David, about how often you've seen him. How could you do this to me, to us?" She rolled her eyes, crossing her arms. "Look, Jake, I told you it's just sex. It doesn't mean anything. You're overreacting as usual. I love you, but I've got needs. Maybe you're just not enough for me anymore." I could feel my blood boiling. That was her typical bullshit, trying to make me feel guilty, trying to turn it around on me. But I wasn't buying it. I told her I was done, that I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay, that I needed to think about what I wanted, and honestly, I was leaning toward walking away for good. She started crying, fake tears, the kind she uses when she wants to manipulate someone. She begged, saying how sorry she was, how she'd never do it again if I just gave her one more chance. That's when I knew she was just good at lying. She didn't care about me or our relationship. She only cared about herself and her stupid thrill-seeking. I told her to leave again, that I'd call her when I was ready to talk. But I knew this chapter was over. I couldn't forgive her, not this time. The trust was shattered beyond repair. She was just a woman who thought she could cheat, lie, and get away with it, but I wasn't going to be her fool anymore. I felt emptier than I'd ever felt in my life. All I wanted was to wake up from this nightmare, but I knew I'd be haunted by it for a long time. And the worst part of me still wondered if I'd ever be able to recover from this betrayal. The days that followed were the hardest. I kept telling myself I needed to be strong, that I deserved better than someone who'd betray me so callously. But inside, I felt hollow. Every time I thought about her, about David, about how she'd lied to me for so long, I could feel the rage bubbling up again. It was like I was caught in this endless cycle of anger, sadness, and disbelief. I tried to focus on anything else, my job, my friends, even little hobbies I used to enjoy. But nothing could block out the image of her with David. It haunted me. I kept questioning everything I thought I knew about her and about us. Was I ever enough? Was I just some fool who thought love was enough to fix everything? One thing I realized, though, was how much I truly trusted her. I believed in her, in us. I was ready to spend my life with her, and then in one moment it all crumbled. It was like she'd been playing me from the start, pretending to be this loving wife when she was secretly cheating with my own brother. That betrayal was so deep I didn't even know if I could ever forgive her, let alone forget. I started contemplating the future. Was there any way back from this? Could I ever look at her again without feeling disgusted? Could I rebuild something out of the wreckage? Honestly, I didn't know. Part of me wanted to cut her out of my life completely, erase her from my mind. But another part, the part that still clung to some hope, kept asking if there was any way to fix this, to forgive her and move on. I knew I couldn't stay silent forever, though. That would only eat me up inside. So I finally decided I needed to confront her one last time. Not to argue, not to guilt her, but to get everything out in the open. I wanted to know if she truly understood what she'd done, if she truly cared about what she'd lost. I needed closure, even if it meant facing the ugly truth. When she came over that evening, I was ready. I was tired of pretending. I looked her straight in the eyes and I told her I couldn't keep doing this, that I wanted the truth, no more lies, no more excuses. I asked her if she still saw David, if she still wanted him, if she was planning to keep this secret from me forever. Her face twisted into this mixture of anger and amusement, like she was playing some game she thought I was too stupid to understand. She scoffed and said, "Jake, you're just being paranoid. You're overreacting because you're insecure. David's just my brother, and yeah, we had some sex, but it's not like I'm leaving you. I love you and I'm not going anywhere." That's when I knew she was a master manipulator. She'd been lying all along, trying to turn everything around so I'd feel guilty for catching her. I told her I didn't believe her anymore, that I was done. I told her I didn't know if I could ever trust her again, And honestly, I didn't want to stay with someone who saw me as some fool she could just cheat on and lie to. That was a line I'd never thought she'd cross, but she did, and now I was left picking up the pieces of my shattered life. I felt like a fool for ever trusting her at all, and truthfully, I wasn't sure I'd ever be able to forgive her, if forgiving was even possible at all. After that night, I made my decision. I packed my things slowly, painfully, knowing I wouldn't be coming back. There's this strange emptiness inside me, like someone pulled the plug on my life, and I'm just floating in a dark, silent void. I didn't want to leave her standing there, but I knew I couldn't stay. Not with her lies, her betrayal, and the fact that I'd lost all trust in what we once had. The hardest part was telling my family. They loved Emily. They thought she was perfect for me. Watching their faces when I explained what I'd found, seeing their shock and disappointment was almost worse than the betrayal itself. But I couldn't lie anymore. I owed them the truth, and I owed myself a fresh start. I moved out. Weekend. I stayed with a friend for a while trying to piece myself back together. Every day was a struggle, an emotional roller coaster of anger, sadness, and frustration. I kept asking myself what I could have done differently, whether I was somehow at fault, but deep down I knew that wasn't the point. The point was that she chose to betray me and I couldn't change that. Over time, I realized I was better off without her. I started going out again, reconnecting with friends, focusing on myself. It wasn't easy. Trusting someone again feels like trying to rebuild a house after an earthquake. But I learned that sometimes the best thing you can do after being hurt so badly is to walk away, rebuild, and find a new sense of peace. Looking back, I know I'll carry this pain with me for a while. But I also know I've grown stronger because of it. This experience taught me that love isn't enough when someone is dishonest and selfish. Trust is everything, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to repair. I learned that sometimes the only way to heal is to cut out what's toxic and move forward, even if it hurts like hell. To anyone reading this, don't ignore the signs. If your gut is telling you something's wrong, don't dismiss it. Because once the trust is gone, everything else crumbles. And if you find yourself betrayed, remember, you're not alone. You deserve honesty, respect, and loyalty. No one should have to stay in a relationship where they're constantly doubting or questioning. It's better to walk away and start over than to stay and be miserable. I'm still healing, but I know now that I'll come out of this stronger. And that's what really matters.